I want to share an app, more on the details on how to get it later, that will give you this. I'm looking here at a particular offense, and as part of the offense data, and by the way, this works on the old UI and new UI, gives you automatically these searches for you. For example, this is the default search that Curator does when it puts all the events that are in this particular offense, but it's limited to the first 15 minutes after the offense started. And the intention of this one is, well, if you have something that has hundreds of thousands of events, because it's something very massive, but you want to limit the search to the first 15 minutes. How you do that? With a click, you actually do so. You actually go back to the offense. This one is very useful, I think, because it gives you, and you can actually see and learn a little bit about SQL by looking at the offense. Notice that Julian, who created this app, had even put some comments in there. But this is, give me the last 2 hours of any event. Doesn't matter whether they're part of the offense or not. Any event for the last 2 hours with the IP that was where this offense was actually indexing all those events. And in this case, I'm not going to see anything much different than the events because I replayed these logs and this app hasn't done anything in particular. But it will be very interesting to see, okay, before filing an offense, what is it that this source IP was doing? I want to see other things that are not part of the offense. I think that is also very useful as well. Here, let's take a look at this one. This is actually, let's look at all the rules that are fired in this particular case, where all those other rules are fired, because you may want to see something that is very related to this. This offense was not part of this IP is not part of my offense, but because these rules that were in this offense also fire with another, is actually bringing that information up. I think that can also be very useful. And here it will check for IP reputation of all the IPs in this particular offense. In my case, they don't have any reputation, so we don't see any scores in here. But if they would, you would have seen them there. Let's go back and see other searches. These are, from the firewall perspective. Notice that it says, let me hover here to, well, we go back and hover here. Well, we can see it in here as well. If we take a look, notice that it says, and protocol ID is not 255, meaning it is ICMP, TCP, UDP, etc. So there was a meaningful communication. Then here you get all those IPs. Back to the offense, scanning activity. I don't think that I will find any in here. Yeah, there has been no scanning related to that. But notice that you can perform all those searches with a click. It's actually very useful. This one is say, well, do you have any asset information for events that are Windows events? Let's click on that one. And here they are. These are the two events. And this is, notice that it's doing, let's click on the actual offense. And device type 12, that's Windows. Device type 11 is Linux. So again, I think that this, and by the way, I'm planning on producing all the videos once I get to learn more of this app. It has more components than this. But I think that having these searches available on a click without you having to do the AQL can be very useful. Where do you get this? If you go to the App Exchange and look for the Curator app, it's actually shown in here, has been recently released. And it's our friend Julian from Germany who created this. I encourage you to have it. I think it just having a click, having all those AQLs on a click is going to be very useful. And I'll try to learn some more about all the things. There's a good documentation. Looks like he have created a ton of things. And by the way, Julian is a gentleman who helps customer run their socks. So he knows what is it that people need in the Curator system, and that's how he came with the idea of creating those searches in there. So download this, add it in the admin tab as a normal app, and you'll have those searches to make easier the investigation of your offenses.